Hey guys, mcfixit here. Today's project, we're going to be working with putting some landscape timbers in to put a kind of raised garden bed back here for flowers and things like that. And so we're going to go ahead and pull back the plastic in a minute and show you guys exactly how to set all of this up and to make it happen. Here are the tools that you're going to need for this project. You're going to need 10 landscape timbers. These are 8 foot long. They're about 3 by 4 inches. They're kind of rough cuts, but they work really well at stacking one on top of another. You're gonna want some kind of shovel. This one works really well because it's just about the width of this. You can use a normal shovel as well. Some kind of chop saw. If you have to run your chop saw a long distance, make sure you have a power cord. As well, you will want a drill with a 5/16 bit on it. You also want to make sure that you have 6" by 1/4 with a 5/16 bit. You'll want a bunch of these. You're going to need at least 18 of these, but maybe a little bit more if you want it extra secure, so make sure you get a plenty of them. You'll want a square, a tape measure, some kind of writing utensil, and something to actually plan out what you're going to do today. One thing we do if we're actually making garden beds for gardens, so this is garlic, and then we have asparagus, and then strawberries after that, I would actually use like the wood plastic. So it's not real wood that's treated, it's like the plastic you would for those, just so you don't get any of the treated stuff into your vegetables that you're going to consume. But the project today is really great for garden beds in the sense of like flowers and those kind of things. So this right here gives our measurement from that corner all the way down to right there is 16 foot. Then 4 foot gets us to right here. So that is the kind of the width and the length of the garden bed. And so you can measure that whatever you need to for yours, and then you're just going to have to do a little bit of math that I'll show you in the next step to make sure you have enough lumber. So you're going to go ahead and measure out your garden, and I just did that on mine. And so it is about 16 feet, and this is about 70 feet, so just keeps going towards our house. But the wife wants the garden bed to come in 16 feet. This is going to be double stacked, so 16 feet, which is 2 8-foot timbers, then 4 feet, then 4 feet on this side. This obviously just be a little bit short of a 4-foot wide garden bed because you do have those timbers. And so you'll have 1 2 3 4 5 times 2 is 10 timbers. Now obviously if you want to do yours a little bit different, you're going to have to measure it out for what you need, and if you have any like L shapes or anything like that, just measure it out. Then remember, in 8-foot sections, you got to kind of reduce from 8. So you're buying whole boards, you're not buying partials, and so that's how you'll do that. So the next step is to go ahead and pull all that plastic back, and I would encourage you, if you're doing this project like next year, go ahead and put some plastic down. This is 6mm black. It really will help calm down all the weeds and everything else and make this project just a little bit more of a success. As you can see now, all of that plastic is pulled back. We will need to go ahead and take along the edge here, right where that is going to be, your timbers, and go ahead and make that nice and flat. That's why we have that shovel in the tools. I like to just kind of throw it towards the center because we're going to reuse all that anyways. If you do have any like foliage, I would probably throw that away, compost that, or get it to a pile that you can kind of kill off because you really don't want that in your garden bed. You may also want a wheelbarrow as well to throw some of that green foliage in. That way it's all taken care of. So the next thing you're going to do is go ahead and get your shovel and make sure all of it is nice, flat, and leveled. Also, if you did put plastic down, you probably have a couple of these lying around. Go ahead and pick those up and make sure those are taken care of so you don't step on them or have them in your garden later on. The next thing I do would be to dry fit a piece of wood down to make sure it looks pretty level, and also tells you if you need any more you got to clear out. So now remember, we need to go ahead and make those 4-foot ends. Remember, this shows 2, but we're going to double it, so we need 4 of them. Go ahead and find 48 inches, which is 4 foot. Go ahead and make your mark, and then go ahead and grab your square. And you can do this in pencil or Sharpie. Sharpie shows up a little bit better on the camera, that's why I'm doing it for you like that, but you can use a pencil as well. So go ahead and put this up here. This one is not one with a laser on it, so I like to go ahead and put it down and test where it's at. And then I always put a hand on this side over here to where it's off the thing. Don't put it anywhere around here, off to the side. Hold it down nice and firm, securing it to the back and right where you want it. And then you go ahead and start the blade, and then you bring the blade down to it. One straight down cut is all you need, and you get a nice clean cut right there. You're gonna do this twice if you remember, because we do need 2 of them. So put that off to the side. Grab your next one. We're going for 48 inches directly in half. See, this one might be a little easier to see because there's not a knot in the wood. And with this square, you do want to, it may look weird, but you are going to, with this square, you do need to come back on here, straight down. Same exact cut again. We're gonna do the same cut again. Line it up, make sure it's straight back. Test it. Kind of inch it back until you got it. Remember, you're gonna start your blade first, then come down. So we're gonna go ahead and dry fit all of the pieces that we just cut, just the first layer, and we're gonna dry fit the whole thing. So I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. So again, this is just dry fitting it to make sure it looks right. We're gonna actually start on the far end because it's gonna be harder to screw those ones in, and we're gonna screw them, make sure they're nice and square. So the next thing you're gonna have to do is you actually gotta kind of pull this out. And we're gonna have to move it down to where we can actually have some flat area. So after you dry fit it, you are gonna actually have to bring it back over here because we have this huge mound here. You're gonna wanna go ahead and make sure you are nice and leveled first off, and then squared up. You can put your square right there. And you're gonna take this and you're gonna wanna drill it inside here, and it will have enough to catch on the other side. You do wanna make sure you're right in the middle of your board and that you're all squared up. I actually go ahead and get it started, then really make sure you're nice and squared up. And after you are, just go ahead and hold it down nice and tight and go ahead and drill it all the way in. And then you're gonna go ahead and do that for all 4 corners. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more of a close-up on this next one. So here's a different angle on the second one. Again, you're gonna go ahead and take your board, make sure you're nice and squared up before you even begin. And then I go ahead and take it and just go ahead and start it right where it needs to be. So I'm about halfway and about halfway on both ways, and just go ahead and start it, let it catch like it did there. And then this is when I really kind of square everything up. Make sure it's right where I want it to be, and then I just kind of hold it. And that will kind of pull the wood back towards it as you're screwing it in. And you can go ahead and put this side back in place. We're gonna do the same thing for the other side. So the next thing is to do the one closest to the wall. And so you will have to kind of pull it out because we do have these bricks over here. Same concept. Go ahead and start making it as straight as possible. Get your square to kind of make sure you're even more squared. I'm gonna try to do this left-handed, not as good left-handed. So again, just kind of set it, then make sure you're nice and square right where you want to be. Oh, that came out just a touch. So make sure you actually stand up and move that. Don't do what I just did. So go ahead and actually move this back into place. Then we're going to go ahead and screw in the other one. Same concept as again, you're going to go ahead and square this up right to where it needs to be. And this first layer may look like it's kind of all wonky. Once we get it together, then screw the two together, it will square up really nice and neat. Again, go ahead and set your screw. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna have to do is kind of, may look weird, we're gonna actually have to cut one of the 8-foot pieces, probably in half, because we don't want it to sit right on top of each other where these joints are, but actually kind of stagger it, and then we screw down from the top layer into the bottom layer plus the other 4 screws we already did, just like that. So you're gonna need one more at 48 inches. Go ahead and get your square it up. Now these are not for the end pieces, even though it may seem like it's the same size. This is so we can stagger it and make it more sturdy. Same concept as well, go ahead and check. And so this will lay like this, and then we're gonna put an 8-foot section and then another 4-foot section. And you can kind of see that. So I have the end piece on the back. I have nothing on the back side, but the inside has a 4-foot piece, 4-foot piece, 8-foot piece, all the way down, 4-foot piece, 4-foot piece. Then we'll do the same thing on the back side. We'll cut another 8-foot piece into 2, so it'll be 4-foot, 8-foot, 4-foot on the back side as well. So remember, we're gonna do the 48 inches, and then you can go ahead and mark it right down the middle. I did measure to make sure it was 8 foot long, so when we did cut it at 40 inches, 4 foot, it was a perfect cut each time. Then we're gonna go ahead and put that up and make our cut. And then we'll go ahead and put these over there with that other 8-footer and just dry fit everything. So you might be thinking it's a waste of time to dry fit the whole area, but I think it's really important, because one thing we did see is we do need to remove a little bit of dirt right in this area, because it is just a touch high. This does help you to really be able to see that, and it gives you kind of a glimpse of what the final project will look like. Yes, we do have to screw this down, and you might be wondering why I just didn't run 2 8-footers like I did on the bottom. You do not want that to be split and come open. So it is really important to do it exactly kind of how we did it there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on this end and just show you how to do it. Remember, we're putting one in on each side, and then we'll come back and we'll put two right where the split on the top is and drill downward into the previous board, and that'll help square everything up and lock everything in place. I'm also going to add one screw in the middle right here once all this is exactly kind of where I want it. So if you noticed, I went ahead and put one screw in the middle there just to hold this side down. And we're going to go back to the other side and finish up over there and work our way back. But I did want to make sure this, especially because this is the corner you see, this was as nice of one as possible. And it'll just kind of help lock all that in as we're moving back down towards this end. So we're gonna go ahead and scoot the ones on the very end up over here so we have an area to work because we're against the fence on the other side. And so this looks like it's stacked 3 high, which it is just temporarily because we're gonna move it back when we're done. So we're gonna do the same process we've done the whole time, make sure it's all nice and squared up. Now you notice the ones below are not perfect yet, so you're really just working off the top one. Even if it looks like it's off center from the other ones, do not worry about that. Just work on making this one square. And then once you got that done, you can go ahead and put that back where it belongs at the end, and then we'll start kind of back where we were over here and work our way back. And what you're gonna do is you go ahead and make it nice and lined up right where you want it. And we're gonna go ahead and put this down and through, one on both sides right there. And if you do have a knot, just scoot down a little bit further. It's totally fine. Same thing, we're gonna put one in the same spot on the other side on this. And we're gonna go ahead and jump to the other side over here. So go ahead and make sure you're all nice and squared up. You can also rip these off if you don't want them on there. Nice and squared up, and then go ahead and hit the next one in. And you don't have to really sink them very much. I do just a little bit, but don't go crazy on it if you do sink them at all. So pretty much anywhere that you have one of them split, you need to drive down and through. Then again, you want to make sure all this is nice and lined up before you even get started. Sometimes you have to kind of use a fist and kind of pound it and make sure everything looks good. And then we'll jump back over here and do the same thing on this side. So you can see where the split is right underneath here. So we're gonna go right above, make sure again, you're lined up nice and neat on the top and the bottom. Gonna go just on the other side of the knot again. And then we just move down to the next section, do that, and then we have the end to tack down and we're about done. Sometimes it is helpful if you put a knee or a leg on here of some sort. Does just kind of make everything nice and straight and steady while you're doing this. So go ahead and grab the next one, pull it towards it. And because you lined this up all right to begin with and measured it, it should fit perfectly on the end, which it does look like it did. We'll show you that in a second after I screw this one in. So there's just one last one to do right over here. And it's this last little corner here. Okay, there it is. This is the garden bed complete. It is a 16 by 4 foot. You can go ahead and fill it with mulch or more dirt. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go get some new dirt, fill it up, put some mulch and put some flowers in it. Thank you guys so much. Again, if this was helpful, please like and subscribe, comment if you have any questions. Thank you guys so much for watching.